Mourning grips the nation in the wake of the Iranian president's death in a helicopter crash. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court said he is seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders, including Benjamin Netanyahu.
A UK court says Julian Assange can appeal his extradition to the US, but the legal saga is likely to continue.
Global far-right leaders attend an event in Spain as Vox rallies the party's base ahead of June's EU elections.
Mourning grips Iran in the wake of President Ibrahim Raisi's death. Iranians gathered in the streets across the nation to express their grief over the death of their president and his companions. His funeral will be held on Thursday. He was killed alongside the Iranian foreign minister in a helicopter crash in a mountainous area near Azerbaijan, state media reported. Local media report a total of 9 people, including the flight crew, were killed in the helicopter crash. The group were traveling back to Iran from a ceremony where they had inaugurated a dam with the Azerbaijani president. State media said the helicopter was forced to make a hard landing in the mountainous region after getting into difficulties due to heavy fog and bad weather.
Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi was 63 years old. The crash in which he died comes as the Middle East remains unsettled by the Israel-Hamas war, during which Raisi, under Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, launched an unprecedented drone and missile attack on Israel last month. Under Raisi, Iran enriched uranium closer than ever to weapons-grade levels following the collapse of the international nuclear deal. That further escalated tensions with the West, as did Tehran supplying Shahed attack drones to Russia for its war in Ukraine. Iran also saw mass protests on Raisi's watch against the country's Shiite theocracy, its faltering economy and women's rights. At home, Raisi will arguably be best remembered by the grim moniker the Butcher of Tehran. He was defiant when asked at a news conference after his election as president about the 1988 mass executions, which saw sham retrials of political prisoners, militants and others that would become known as death commissions. International rights groups estimate that as many as 5,000 people were executed. Raisi's presidency also saw the 2022 arrest of Swedish national Johan Flodorus, who was working for the Afghanistan desk of the EU's European External Action Service. He's accused of spying for Israel, and prosecutors are seeking the death sentence. Flodorus is the latest EU citizen to be arbitrarily detained by the Iranian regime on widely contested criminal charges known as hostage diplomacy.
The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court said he is seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The warrants were issued in connection to actions during the 7th-month war between Israel and Hamas. The ICC's prosecutor said he believes Netanyahu, the Israeli defense minister, and 3 Hamas leaders are responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip and Israel. He must request warrants from a panel of 3 judges who take on average 2 months to consider the evidence and determine if the proceedings can move forward. Israel is not a member of the International Criminal Court, which means that even if the arrest warrants are issued, Netanyahu and the Israeli defense minister do not face an immediate risk of prosecution.
A hero for many, a criminal for others, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been given right to appeal his extradition to the US. Hundreds of supporters anxiously awaited the decision outside London's Royal Court of Justice on Monday. Assange's wife Stella was among the crowds and released a statement after the verdict.
The judges reached the right decision We spent a long time hearing the United States putting lipstick on a pig, but the judges did not buy it. As a family, we're relieved, but how long can this go on? The United States should read the situation and drop this case now. Now is the moment to do it. Just abandon this shameful attack on journalists, on the press and the public that has been going on for 14 years.
Monday's decision is likely to drag out further what has already been a long legal saga. Julian Assange, a 52-year-old Australian computer expert, faces up to 175 years in prison, his lawyer said. He got indicted on 17 espionage charges and 1 charge of computer misuse over the publication of thousands of classified US documents almost 15 years ago. American authorities say Assange didn't just gather information for journalism purposes, but attempted to solicit, steal, and indiscriminately publish classified government documents. US President Joe Biden, however, last month said he's considering a request from Australia to drop the case and let Assange return to his home country.
Spain's far-right Vox party has held an event in Madrid that brought together right-wing figures from across Europe in a bid to rally the party's base ahead of June's EU elections. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán sent a video address to the 11,000 supporters at the rally, while French far-right leader Marine Le Pen was there in person. Also appearing on video was Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who said it was important to mobilize ahead of the June vote.
Estamos en vísperas de unas elecciones decisivas, porque por primera vez el resultado de las elecciones europeas podría finalmente terminar con mayorías antinaturales y contraproducentes. Tenemos que mantenerlos enfocados, mantener los pies en la tierra y la mirada en el horizonte. Es hora de la movilización.
But the star of the show was arguably Argentina's President Javier Milei, who's on a 3-day visit to Spain. He started his speech by saying his attendance was a moral imperative. He went on to rail against socialism before taking a swipe at Spain's left-wing Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, who's refused to meet him.
No saben qué tipo de sociedad y país puede producir y qué calaña de gente atornillada al poder y qué niveles de abuso puede llegar a generar. Digo, aún cuando tenga la mujer corrupta, digamos, se ensucia y se tome 5 días para pensarlo.
Vox leader Santiago Abascal acknowledged the growth of right-wing support, and many saw the meeting as a significant step in international consolidation of far-right ideology. But not everyone was happy. Across town in Columbus Square, left-wing groups held a counter-protest denouncing Vox as fascists.
I'm here because in Vista Alegre we have a summit of hate and we must fight against the fascists because we must mobilize and defeat this fascist far-right parties.
The EU election runs from the 6th of June to the 9th.
17-year-olds in Greece will be able to vote for the first time in the upcoming 2024 European elections. 3 students from an Athenian school share their concerns and hopes for the continent ahead of the June poll.
Είναι αυτή μια πάρα πολύ ωραία ευκαιρία, ώστε εμείς οι νέοι, 17 χρονών, να πάμε με την ψήφο μας να αναδιαμορφώσουμε την Ευρώπη και να βάλουμε καινούριους ανθρώπους μέσα στην Ευρωβουλή που θα εκπροσωπούν καλύτερα τις ιδέες μας, τα θέλω μας και ουσιαστικά την Ευρώπη που θέλουμε να δούμε εμείς στο μέλλον. Ασχολούν ζητήματα σίγουρα με το θέμα της παιδείας. Το περιβάλλον επίσης είναι ένα φιλεγόμενο θέμα που πρέπει σίγουρα να δούμε και σίγουρα η ειρήνη γίνει σε ευρωπαϊκά εδάφη.
Another reveals how she keeps up with Brussels news.
Κάναμε διάφορα προγράμματα στο σχολείο, αλλά και από μόνη μου και γενικά ρωτάω και ενήλικες στο οικογενειακό μου περιβάλλον.
Από το διαδίκτυο καθόλου ενημερώνεσαι?
Ναι, προφανώς, γιατί αποτελεί και ένα μεγάλο κομμάτι της ζωής της δικιάς μου και όλων των συνομιλίκων μου.
A third student is emphatic to vote.
Φυσικά και θα ψηφίσω. Πιστεύω πως δεν υπάρχει νέος που να παρατηρεί την κοινωνία του και να μην βρίσκει σφάλματα. Αλλά πιστεύω πως οι περισσότεροι από εμάς νιώθουμε ανίκανοι. Όμως με την ευκαιρία που μας δίνεται η φωνή μας μπορεί να ακουστεί και σε ευρωπαϊκές διαστάσεις και να βγάλουμε εκπρόσωπους οι οποίοι οι απόψεις τους θα συμβαδίζουν με τις δικές μας και θα μπορούν να περάσουν τα πιστεύω μας στην Ευρώπη. Πιστεύω δεν φταίει τόσο πολύ η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση όσο εμείς οι ίδιοι που δεν ενημερωνόμαστε πλήρως για την Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση και για τις ευρωεκλογές γενικότερα. Πιστεύω ότι οι περισσότεροι νέοι το βλέπουν σαν βάρος στο ότι έχουν να πάνε να ψηφίσουν.
Τόσο η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση όσο και τα πολιτικά κόμματα σε αυτές τις ευρωεκλογές επιδιώκουν να προσέλθουν στις κάλπες όσο πιο πολλοί νέοι γίνεται. Στις 9 Ιουνίου, νέοι και νέες άνω των 17 ετών έχουν το δικαίωμα να ψηφίσουν για πρώτη φορά. Όπως λένε, υπάρχουν πολύ βασικά ζητήματα που τους απασχολούν, όπως η παιδεία, η υγεία, η εργασία, η κλιματική αλλαγή και η τεχνολογία. Από την Αθήνα για το Euronews, Γιώργος Δημητρόπουλος.